Welcome to our lovely future humans, our 5D collective, those who are emotionally sovereign and those who are new. Welcome to a place where we get to be our authentic selves and we get to use journal prompts and inner growth mindset practices to continue the integration of our brain or living out that which is the embodied pure piece of consciousness that you are, or soul, however you want to word it, but essentially you're a human. So you own the sense of self. And we are going to start with me reading, and then I'm going to pose to you the lovely journal prompt that I've been sharing with you all. And if you do want to purchase the uncertainty bundle, it's down below, and to check out PayHip for more journal prompts and inner growth mindset practices. And with that being said, if you know anybody who likes to be themselves, mystic, spiritual, or mindful, and loves science and spirituality, send them around. Oh, they will have to have one thing if they're going to resonate with us, is that all of children of God are amazing. The ones who choose to stay in their low frequency, well, they're not monsters. And that's how I'm going to pause this. We thank our mediocre brothers and sisters. They give us the opportunity to share with the children. Here is what good and A gamers look like. They don't need to believe in God because we all come together, science and spirituality. Here's what the B gamers look like. Please don't point fingers. It's bad manners, children. So we don't make fun of weak brothers and sisters. We allow ourselves to remember that they are all weak because they had the weak ones raise them. And then they continue to perpetuate that which is weak, because that's what happens when you don't know how to self-regulate. You stay weak. WEAK. Just letting you make sure that the right people stick around, because see, to me, strength is not the struggle. No, we always will struggle, which is why you don't put it on a pedestal. You're like, yeah, we know about the unknown, human secondary consciousness. I mean, I have God. I'm lucky. So when I hear his anger, I'm not afraid, because I know who the children of God who are responding to the call are doing, and they're doing the right thing. That's why they have integrity. So they know, actually, not only this word, hold on a minute, they know awakening to their human potential through integral, whether it's coaching, I'm a mentor though, remember that, or digital content creation, or simply put, doing it themselves, the intentional steady living. Okay, so we get to be anchors for each other, and that's why God doesn't test his children with any monster. It's basically humility. And then remembering how to continuously expand. Neuroscientist Patrick McNamara explains it the best: decentralizing on the self and religious experiences. But there are people who don't believe in the embodied brain, and so, we leave it alone. And with that being said, ignorance is not welcome here. I don't know everything at all, but I do know what I'm learning from smart human beings, and neuroscience, neurobiologists, mental health professionals have proven all of God's creation are perfect. The ones who choose to maintain unhealthy perfection also maintain unhealthy, righteous everything. Unhealthy fear equals no love, because they're not securely attached and whole selves. And so between enmeshing and losing themselves and hanging out with Diego's family from Ice Age, you just see a bunch of losers out there on Pinocchio's island. FYI, I'm not joking. I bring to you new stories, the Disney stories, because we are all children. The difference is I have the ownership of my 3-year-old and my 16-year-old, and I'm not doing child work. No, you do that with the therapist. It's once you're a grown human being in your prefrontal, you say, yeah, we know what leadership and adulthood look like and what we're going to leave a legacy for the children who want to copy the A gamers. If they'd rather copy the B gamers, there are other soul age groups. This is how my embodied mystic life has been able to say, okay, God, I got it. So with God, I don't play the know-it-all, but he already knew by the time I was 20. I was like, no Lucifer, no monster, just a bunch of morons, cowards, morons, everything. Now I'm a mystic. I become a mystic. I'm like, yeah, oversoul, masculine's dumb, but I get it. It's their free will to stay dumb. And it's not about men. It's actively people who want to just use half a brain, like my facade friend. And so with that, here's the question first, then we're going to read. How has your ability, yours, if you're emotionally sovereign, you're still here at 4 minutes, how has your ability to create steadiness, or you're going to make fun of me, which is fine too, by the way. And you can talk behind my back. I'm used to that as well. But I do know what emotional sovereignty looks like, because I know how it feels to be open-hearted. I feel good. No. And then I know how imperfection works. Someone can consider me an asshole and a bitch. In fact, usually unhealthy self-worth people who I don't want to become friends with and are strangers after 3 years do this. If I did it to be deluded, and you think, wow, wife, daughter, man. No, not man. Person who needs terril. But I'm not going to be able to treat them like shit because my mother taught me manners. How has your ability to create steadiness from uncertainty helped you to stay not only true to yourself? I stay true to myself always. And if I can't, I say, look, I don't want to speak because I don't want to say something that's not nice. And that's how it works. And you know what? If they say you did do something wrong, I didn't intend to. Well, you can't prove it. I know that, but I'm telling you the truth. I don't believe you. Okay, well, I guess we can't be friends because you don't believe me. So, shall I go now? Shall I stay or shall I go now? And you continue to allow yourself to remember that the only ones who actively are trying to get under anyone's skin are not people who are empowered. They're the weak ones who need a therapist so they can stop playing a game that is not a game. It's their unfortunate childhood. And that's why they're monsters. I know where they come from, and it's not in the sky. I mean, really, even though as a mystic and spiritual one, I do understand when people talk about the voices in the head. And that's why my friends make fun of me, because I'm a mystic. They say, woo woo. I say, no, yeah, I'm not. Pseudoscience, yes, I am. I'm not crazy though, but I'm going to say anything more. So the ones who are mystic and spiritual with me, the 5D Collective, we have a fun time because we know what's going on. Okay, so here's the question before you leave. How has your ability to create steadiness from uncertainty helped you to stay not only true to yourself, but to help others in need who struggle not only with that which is uncertainty, but to find an anchor and to find a safe harbor? Because that is the difference between those who are emotionally sovereign and mature versus the 3D, 4D who are pretending and who are emotionally immature. They are like my facade friend. They're backstabbing, lying assholes who fake it the entirety of their life, but it's not fair for me to be mean to my facade friend who talked over me as I was seriously talking to him something. This is one of the many stories, okay? So emotionally immature people choose the dark sides of neuroplasticity. They will stay in their low frequency, and they will continue to not know how to self-regulate. Luckily, as Dr. Daniel Siegel suggested when I asked him advice in a number of courses I have had with him, I had the opportunity to ask him two things. And he said, Maria, I think you need to differentiate more. And when I told this to a human being who does not own their sense of self, as I said, there's no energy vampires out there at all. And they looked at me like that. And I said, okay, you said you're at therapy. Good. Once you're done, you'll come back around and I'll explain it again. But for now, you don't own your sense of self. And therefore, the porous, boundaryless stuff that you're going through, you need first the therapy. Then once you've learned, you'll be able to understand. So that's how it works when you're a person who's emotionally sovereign, mentally sovereign, and you know information, and then you see the blank stares. Like my facade friend when I'm yelling at him 3 years after we become friends again because he lied to me once more, meaning he's faking it. Oh, that's just to be yourself. And he looked at me like this. And I got a good episode from that. And I can tell you today, it's called an adaptive child part person. And emotionally immature people are here to stay because you can't make someone go to therapy. And you can't talk sense to someone who doesn't believe in science. And as a mystic, that's why I'm already used to people not believing in me. So when someone says to me, they're there, you are going to be rejected by those of us from the church because you're a mystic and your Reiki is bad and your reading tarot is bad. And the fact that you're channeling, downloading, and talking to me about ascended masters and everything, and it's bad. And all of this is bad because God doesn't need science and God is only one. And I'm like, yeah, his timbre is pretty clear. I know exactly when he's chiming in, and his howling is not scary to me. I just know when he's getting really upset, and that's about it. But I didn't tell that to the person. As they're doing that, they're there. I know that they're still very much resentful to when they were rejected. I told people about demonic possession, and they looked at me like this. And so I'm sorry sometimes. You just have to accept rejection. That's when somebody is still upset at something that happened to them. And in the meantime, I was being polite because what I could have said was, I really don't care to be friends with mediocre, ignorant human beings who are not actually supporting that which is love or God's message for that matter. They're supporting the medieval times, ancient books. They're actually manipulating, control. No, they're manipulating, controlling, persuading you. The people who believe the story, this person's looking at me in the face and actually speaking to me with all authenticity and care and just saying, I'm so sorry that you are rejected. Like they're sad for me. In the meantime, I'm thinking I'm not sorry that I'm rejected. I was actually asking for an explanation to why we're not all coming together, those of spirit, source, since the Dalai Lama made a call, let's all come together, and the explanation was that, and that God doesn't need science. And I'm like, of course he doesn't, yet everybody goes to doctors. Well, not everybody, excuse me. So some people at least commit to their idea that they're supposed to stay in the caves. That's how I'm going to say, but that has nothing to do with God. And that's the part of why they're the manipulable. The ones who are immature are manipulable, like my facade friend, because they will continue to not notice how the inconsistency works. But that's the other part. It's because they don't love all of God's children. I do. And the ones who are not behaving with love, I know why. I know who I could point a finger to, but that's called shame, blame, fault, revenge, and other emotionally immature manners. And I don't have immature manners. I have, my mother taught me manners, and when I know who is weak, I'm not going to point it out to them because I actually want to get up and leave, and I'm already having to put up with someone who's talking to me like I'm a dumbass, and I'm not a dumbass. And, so anyways, this is the part of where when you can be an anchor for dumbasses like my facade friend, it's not because you're counting how many dumbasses you meet. It's because you realize that there's a bunch of insecure people. So when you meet insecurity, you don't do, it's so tiresome. You self-regulate. Thanks, Dr. Dan. You learn to differentiate. Thanks, Dr. Dan. And then with them, because they're a guitar string, I'm a guitar string, and the whole room doesn't actually ding. I perceive it. I can actively recalibrate, and that's why Dr. Dan was really helpful, because all he said was, I think you need to differentiate more. As I explained to him that when I walk into a room, I pick up a bunch of things, but I didn't tell it to him that way. I forget how exactly I posed it. So pause. And if you do want that question specifically, it is shared in a couple of shorts, okay? But in the meantime, I also wanted to share this topic. So leadership and adulthood, they both begin with one simple capacity: the ability to see yourself clearly. And science and spirituality agree, at least the wisdom, of course, because again, we have different groups of people. So please don't take my words for it at all, obviously. But when you meet emotionally empowered ones, you'll find out that they're okay with being called woo-woo, pseudoscience. They're okay with the scientists making fun of us. And then we make fun of the pseudo-intellectual posturing people. Then that's the ones who actually think that they have a answer to everything. That's for another time, okay? So we all can see ourselves clearly when we know how to discern with equanimity. And then we know the experts work all together, spiritual and science, and they don't fight amongst each other like little petty children do. The ones who instead think they know everything and they can't handle differences like grown-ups, the word grown-up, I thought all grown-ups would be emotionally sovereign. They're not. Okay, so like you're rejected, that's not a grown-up. That's just a person who has an age. But it's more like I'm meeting a teenage version of them, because that's what ego is at the end of the day. And they get with their group and they become groupies. And then they just pat each other in the back. They confirm what they believe in, what they think. And then they say, we know what's right. And you say, yeah, sure you do. I'm going to go hang out with the ground and reality ones who know Sam Harris and who don't fight about this stuff. So with that, the ability to see yourself clearly means that you're not a spiritual bypasser. So you know equanimity, and so you're not a somatic bypasser. So you know how to spot the pseudo-intellectuals like I do, and then how to make fun together of everything, and then how to know it's going to be okay. Because we got smart, amazing, intelligent people out there who are all doing the best they can to bring forth the good that every human being has, whether they believe in God, meaning that they are in communion with God, or not. And that's because not all of us are of faith. And the scientists, though, you better bet that those who are like Dr. Daniel Siegel, he got invited to spirituality conference because he lives a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self. He knows how to be an anchor and a safe haven and a secure base for anyone. And he's amazing. And in fact, in one of the courses, I get to hear about how DID lady with the DID, I don't think disorganized attachment, but I'm not sure, but how he helped to heal her within 7 to 8 years. And now she's writing a book, and there's more than just Dr. Dam. There's Pat Ogden, and she says an amazing thing. She shares this. I'm going to spotlight her for a minute. She says, my work is never about taking anything away. It is always a choice. And it is to help someone find another way of being that will help them to gain more satisfaction in their life and relationships. But it's not about taking anything away, because she acknowledges, like any of the other smart therapists, that the things they learned, the maladaptive patterns of behavior, was to keep them safe. So as the person with their best foot forward, both of them and their mind will choose to commit to their healing. And when you see that, I saw the lady who's healing, she's all excited. She's like, I'm at the 7-year mark. They said it might take 12, but I'm almost there. Versus, I'm a sociopath, and that's a person who's got a groupie following them. That here, come copy me. I'm going to empower you with Or there's the other ones who do narcissists aren't healable. Come copy me. And I say, no, we're not copying any of you because you're all really being mean to each other. And we have this smart grown-ups who are like, you're all able to get healed if you want. And I'm presenting, we all know that. So we choose to leave alone the ones who don't want their A game, like my facade friend. Even though he finds me annoying, I find him just as annoying. So he doesn't see himself clearly. He has a disturbed self-organization, and I still put up with him, and he still puts up with me. But do you know what I love? I love all of my brothers and sisters, even the ones who are strangers. Like, yeah, it's not about decency. He's a stranger. He's not my friend. Leadership, those who are self-responsible, emotionally sovereign, and mature know what leadership is made of. So we're not afraid of those who do not see clearly because it's very clear what's happening in their bodies once you get the explanation. So science and spirituality, the empowered kind, agree that emotional regulation, self-awareness, and a steady nervous system are the foundation of real maturity. That's, again, those who understand how we're all an embodied brain, every single one, and so we don't demonize or dehumanize 8 billion and growing human beings. So all of God's children. Now the children have the grown-ups to look at. When we have the mediocre grown-ups, that's why we are still having free will. They can choose the B gamer life or they can choose the A gamer life. It's up to us, IHP community and beyond, all the A gamers, to share with the children what the appropriate response to life is. Which is, yes, struggle comes around when you're born, a third attunement, repairing ruptures. You will learn how to become emotionally mature because you will have the 0-8-year-old with those who are emotionally mature parents, and so on and so forth, and emotionally mature grown-ups. And so we continue to lead by example because children don't learn by what you tell them. They're not listening to you. They will copy you. Oh, and your nervous system is number 1 on the copying list. So self-regulation, check. Continuously learning how to expand the window, a welcome to your emotional plane, check, because you don't want to behave like a small little loser version of yourself. I can be a loser too, no, but yes, meaning the immature version. Loser, anybody remember? That was so funny. Okay, so back to what I'm reading to you. When we react to discomfort, which is what all those who are the losers do, when we reject what we don't want to hear, we are not leading, we are protecting an identity. And so really what they're protecting is their sense of self without it being whole or whole. It doesn't really matter because see here, I'm going to use words interchangeably and I'm going to use what is decentralizing in the self. It doesn't have to involve religious experiences, but Patrick McNamara shares what happens when somebody has decentralizing in the self and he studies brains. So when someone doesn't have a strong sense of self, they actively will get confused, which is why we've had people go from being mystic spiritual to now saying, you're all demons, and they've gone the other extreme. So when you see extremists, those are like teenagers. It's called black and white thinking. I was a teenager too. You better bet I was an extremist as well. I learned how never to say never. I learned how things are all gray, and so you learn as you grow up how to not be reactive because that's why I can be a loser too when I'm reactive. I actively have had things that I say, I'm like, oh shit, that was not necessary, Maria. Such exaggeration. So you like to try and mature yourself as you grow up because again, how else are you going to show the kids how it's done? Also, your body just organically will do that when you own the sense of self and you take pride in leaving behind a legacy of choosing. I chose, yes, Jesus, God, Holy Spirit. I will be kind to my brothers and sisters, and I will turn the good cheek, and I will not cast a stone. I will remember, and oh, there's never been a monster that I've ever seen anywhere, just the eyes of people. Which is why when someone dehumanizes anyone or says there's energy vampires or dark auras, those are spiritual bypassers. There's not. And when someone says there's a wars in the heavens, no, there's not. There's actually only in the heads of people who continue to watch shitty-ass TV and stuff like that. I mean, it's not funny. Yeah, it is funny. No, it's not. Okay, so moving forward, I'm interjecting and having some little fun with you all. When we do notice discomfort, that's what the inner growth mindset practice and the journal prompts are for, because we actually don't do the, oh, I'm so uncomfortable that I don't want to think or feel. It's, I have something new to expand from. That's how a whole sense of self. So yeah, struggle is not struggle once you get past a certain age and you just realize what you're made of. Feelings. All feels and thoughts. And you don't do there's a betrayer persona. No, there's not. It's, I'm Maria. Who are you? What's up? And you get to have fun and giggles left and right working together. And then you do more of that with others and you don't project. So we don't call people names. We don't take things personally. So when you meet life, Instead of protecting an identity or being defensive and cut off from, by the way, who you are, when you meet yourself and others with curiosity and life and neutrality, and that's because you're a regulated body, something shifts. In fact, again, journal prompts and inner growth mindset practice talk to you about that. And so this shift is happening, which is where instead of having decentralizing the self with religious experiencers or not go bad, you expand. So like with me, I went from 1 twin flame to 2 twin flames to 3 twin flames. I was like, what the fuck? And this was at a time where it wasn't a trend. And the trend thing, let me just tell you, they have actually insulted an entire, but that's for another time. All people, if they are identity driven, in fact, that's the difference between those who are emotionally mature and not. Where's my notes? Give me 1 second. So those who are identity triggered audiences, those who want labels, diagnoses, or blame frameworks, then there's people who are seeking emotional outsourcing or validation loops. Those are what are emotionally insecure. They're not self-led, and they definitely are not emotionally empowered or sovereign, but that doesn't mean 3D, 4D, like my facade friend, that you ditch them and you don't support them, because the reality is that's not nice, and it's unnecessary. So also you might be able to make a difference by being able to be that one safe haven, secure base that shows them that kindness and love is real, and that emotional maturity exists, and that we all make mistakes, and that nobody needs to be labeled based on their mistake. And that's the why you don't cast a stone, you don't play God. And those who want to play divinity, we use words, I use plenty of words, but being a divine feminine, divine masculine, being a divine empowered anything doesn't make you it. In fact, parents aren't God, humans aren't God. Perfection is creatorship. So anyone who's in community will know that, which is why when you hear, as consciousness does speak, God speaks, yes, in sounds, not in words. It's a very clear timbre. And so the ones who instead have nasty words coming from their brain, it has nothing to do with God. It has everything to do with, okay, did you get to have a clear slate in here? Do you have a way to speak to yourself kindly because your thoughts matter? Do you have a story for yourself? So whenever I think of people who actually will have nasty channels and downloads, I know plenty of different people, I think I'm not going to judge it an entity or not. I know the stories, but in the meantime, I'm thinking, do you own the embodied brain of yours? And when I notice that it's not a person who owns that which is their embodied brain, then I understand what they're really needing first to take care of is their self and everything that's coming up, but they don't all want that. So that's your spiritual bypasser, and spiritual bypasser can also be somatic bypasser, and then they go and hang out and they say equanimity people are the bypassers because they justify their rage and their exaggerated emotional response versus noticing we all have emotions and we all want a safe world because we all are the same children that we all have our child parts, so everybody wants safety, but we do have dark matter, dark energy out there. Besides all of the spiritual conversations we can have, we still have actual, unless you don't want to believe in the cosmos, obviously. So I'm just saying, like, your embodied brain is smart enough to know that there's a whole world outside of you. I love logic, by the way, and that's why science doesn't disprove spirituality, and spirituality doesn't disprove science, and science has proof all embodied brains are equal. And some will be able to become their A game, and some will choose not to. And at that point, we don't cast a stone. So you step into growth when you meet life with curiosity, neutrality, and a regulated body. Neuroscience calls it integration. Spirituality calls it consciousness. You can call it whatever words you want, but in all of these occasions, both point to an inner alignment. The mind, the body, and really it's an embodied brain, the heart, and the soul. The soul doesn't get tainted at all. The soul gets covered up. I think there's a Bessel van der Kolk quote that I have read to you before. But the body has a bunch of sensations, images, those affects, those behaviors, and those meanings. That is what you clear up. Once you're clear and you know who you are, your personality patterns, your temperament, your securely attached whole self, you spot yourself, like Dr. Daniel Siegel has explained in a couple of courses, and you don't have to put yourself to the side and always say, my ego dies, because it don't die. You allow yourself to know, oh, look, here's Maria, or here's whatever your name is. Oh, look, here's other stuff that I picked up from the room. Oh, whatever I picked up from my own sphere and higher self. You don't have to make it into a truth. Those who need to prove their downloads, they make me laugh. because I got a clown in the room. I got another teenager. Oh, look, 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 I proved it. I proved it. It's like, wow. So you're still trying to have people believe in what you are. So that's quite not interesting. Or basically, the people who want a sense of safety. That's why control, manipulation, and persuasion, people who want a little box, they can't handle the 8th and 9th chakra that we talk about, the into the unknown. So your right mode is where darkness sits, and the right mode is what is cool with all of it coming together. The left mode doesn't like when things touch. That's why someone says science, spirituality, excuse me, and you're confusing them. No, I'm not. They come together. So integrated brain is what we have. So children and younger generations, they don't learn from our lecturing or our, blah, 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 giving them a hard time. They learn from our presence. They learn from the steadiness that they feel. That's why when you can face uncertainty with emotional steadiness, and when you want to do that, again, it's because you understand the value of not only anchoring in your ventral energy as a person. I know lovely Deb Dana, she explains it, Stephen Porges, Dr. Dennis Siegel, but humanly speaking, I tell you that it's very easy for me to build secure connections and to be there for myself and others. And that's why you live a life of meaning and connection beyond the soul self. And it's never, I'm tired. Because that's how many, number one, 3D, 4D you got around you. It's been a long time, 46 years, and moving forth, obviously, as a kid, I don't remember, but my point is that I've always perceived, because we perceive each other. So being able to navigate my social engagement system is beautiful. I have fun with it, and I can't believe there's a bunch of people who don't want it because they'd rather bullshit themselves with rising from the ashes and the phoenix and it's like, okay, are you done playing 3D yet? It's also the waves. So Tara Brach explains how to go from being in a wave to here. When I did it, I remember, because I was like, I don't have to go to these extremes. I was like in my mid-20s, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stop venting because it's not useful. I'm also going to stop doing this thing. And when I asked for support from people, you know how they answered me? I didn't even have any of the mindfulness or attachment trauma education. I just knew how to do it because I can perceive myself. It's called interoception and exteroception and all of these things. You can't. You're human. You can't stop venting. That's normal. I can't stop venting. It's not useful. I didn't ask for permission. I was asking for help. But hey, I don't need your help to actually work with myself. So that's how it happens. And that's it. But yeah, believe me. And these people didn't do anything except for say you can't do it because you're a human. Yeah. No, you're not Buddha. You're not Jesus. Wow, really? But hey, guess what? There's Sadhguru out there who says you can be like me. You can be like Jesus. You can be like Buddha. How dare you? What he's trying to say is you can be an embodied piece of consciousness. Now we have the scientists to explain it. Restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating people. And the ones who are on the spiritual end of the spectrum who don't want to hear the words, they're just saying what spiritual stuff and science words. And oh, by the way, science proves that all God's children are perfect. Aren't you happy? Didn't you remember that he made us all equal? No, you don't like that? You don't like being ordinary. You don't like that we all can make mistakes. So whenever someone is thinking they don't like equal, I think, must be those insecure ones who basically are stingy with stuff. So, it's a sad story. You can't make somebody believe in themselves, which is why you don't make fun of them. I make fun of them without pointing them out, meaning I call them, Pinocchio's Island. I do the Cusco thing, Disney, childhood stories, because really it's not nice to make fun of people who didn't get to get in a stick. And God doesn't test you by sending you away to be mean to one. So when I've seen spiritual bypassers do this thing where they're calling brothers and sisters, other people names, and they're actually saying that they're anointed and special, I'm like, you must not have noticed what you're doing. Yeah, I'm going to leave that one alone. But the point is that they are inconsistent, because if you do know creatorship, doesn't matter what word you would use, you'd be like, we're all children. Humanly speaking, your humanity is never taken from you when you are a self that's not broken, which is why you don't look at people and say they're broken. You hear people and say, yeah, a lovely DID lady said she's writing a book so that people can know they're not broken, but they're fixable, because she understands how the DID brain works. And those who are healing and are excited to meet themselves, I honor them. So no betrayal persona. That was a word that came to me for channeled guidance. We'll probably have some episodes at some point. It's, do you talk to yourself kindly or not? And if you don't, well, you want to go and get that worked on. And then you want to make sure that you can open your heart and be good to yourself and good to others. And then you want to remember we all make mistakes. And as Terry points out, we all can be considered a very, very, what was the word he used? You could be considered the most evil person on the planet. When you get accused of something that's not true, by the way, and those people that are convinced of it are convinced, you're not going to change their mind. And you can't prove intent. But the part about what is beautiful about those who are emotionally sovereign is we don't give two shits because we know what a body is. So you will always pick up on each other. So if my gut says something's off, something's off. I don't have to decide anything about it though. And usually if it's something emotional, meaning an insecure button of anyone, it doesn't really affect me. It's only physical danger that I would want to be alerted to immediately, and my gut is that good. So when I'm around people, and that's the part of where other people actually have a bigger deal because they don't, they never actually want to stop playing. Yeah, I'm going to leave that for another time and finish up. So, real leadership is lived, it is not claimed. And every time we choose awareness, humility, and emotional maturity, we elevate not just ourselves, but everyone who looks to us for guidance. And so, children do look to others, the grown ups, for guidance. And the grown ups who are choosing their A game are the ones who are going to let them know how the nervous system softens, the mind becomes clear, the heart becomes spacious, and consciousness, or what neuroscientists will call integration, begins to unfold. And your personal growth and spiritual growth journey continue. And so, with that being said, if you like journal prompts and inner growth mindset practices, again, you can find a link to the PayHip store below, and you can become a paid subscriber for Spotify, which is also distributed on other platforms. We have inner growth mindset exercises, readings, and spotlights, and I have more plans. Oh, we also do have lives on YouTube and TikTok, but for now we haven't had any. In the meantime, be yourself the smart way, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. Let people who are integrated and emotionally sovereign know how to come around. And also, when you are an anchor for someone, it will make a difference in those people's lives who did not lose all of who they are. And that's why it's good. And then for the rest, well, God always wins, which is where my smile comes from. And the ones who think that they have to do something are the same ones who think that we're anointed and special and forget their place. And when I've met them, I understand that they're still working to fix that which happened to them, which is why there's that difference. So when you are not broken, you don't think anything needs fixing. And when you see humans and you're like, they're not broken, they're like everybody else, they're vulnerable. And they don't like the unknown. And we're around dark matter and dark energy. Every day could be our last. So yeah, they clearly are very destabilized, the ones who don't have a anchor and are not centered, which is why integration of the brain, secure attachment, people who get to be themselves get to be that which is called a sense of ease. And yes, they are annoying, by the way, sometimes, like my facade friend, because even though we still love each other the same we always have, they don't actually get up off of their low frequency, and then they have the same bullshit stories they get to hear. But hey, if we all thought the same, the world would be kind of boring. So you could look at it that way, plus the other soul age group. So and there's always tomorrow. Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. Lion King. I haven't watched it in a while. Okay, we'll be back with more. Have a good one.